Hello and welcome back for the next part of this AT&T Walker Hoth scene diorama build. Today I'm going to work on the crashed snow speeder smoke. What I want to do is try and build a mechanism to make it look like there was a smoke or explosion and fire burning on the engine of a crashed snow speeder. You can see the T47 snow speeders and the ATSTs have been painted and weathered. The AT-AT Walker is pretty much complete with painting and weathering. I just need to put a coat of flat clear coat on the models. They all currently have a gloss coat. So the T47 crashed model is this one here. You can see the detailing that I put into it and the weathering. The crashed or exploded area is going to be back on the engine in this area here. There's also some damage to the cockpit on the front end of it. But the detailing came out pretty good. I was a little nervous with how small it is. It's a very tiny little model to be detailed, but it came out pretty well. I was happy with that. So what I'm envisioning to do for this is to have a area of smoke coming out of the back of the engine with possibly some flames. And here's how I have come up with the idea to do that, or the mechanism that I'm going to try. Okay, so what I've done is I've purchased an LED kit. You can see here there's a battery, a switch, and some very small LEDs. When I turn them on, this is meant to simulate a fire. There's a red flashing LED, a solid orange LED, and a blinking orange LED. So when this is in the model, you can kind of get the effect there of what it's going to look like as if there was flames burning in the various colors and various speeds and whatnot. So my hope is, what I'm going to do is I have cut a clear piece of sprue, leftover sprue that was in another model kit, and I'm hoping that if I put the LEDs at the bottom of the sprue, it will illuminate both the bottom and the top. You can see the top of it kind of blinking and sparkling up there as well. And I'm going to wrap that sprue use that as a support or framework, so to speak, and I'm going to use cotton to wrap around it and form the smoke, and that hopefully with that rod through the cotton and the lights flashing, it will illuminate it like this and make it look like the smoke is burning, and you can see the flames illuminating the smoke from inside as a crashed engine or burning engine. So that's kind of the look I'm going for. Not sure it's going to work. I've never done this before, so this is the first time go at it, so we'll see how this all plays out. Okay, so the first step in this project that I'm going to do is glue some cotton to the stem, or the sprue piece. And once I get the cotton on there, then I'm going to have to add a couple of layers to it, I think, to get the billowing look that I want. So I'm going to have to glue it on, let it dry, build it up, let it dry. And part of the process, I'm going to use the scenic cement that's used in model train scenes and stuff like that. I'm going to spray it on the piece of cotton, so once I get it formed in the shape I want it, then I'm going to spray some of that on there in order to hold the shape so that it doesn't move around or collapse, and protect it a little bit. And then I'll probably try and experiment with some paint to see, give it some yellow or red paint, some black and gray to make it look smoky and flamish as it lights up, hopefully through the sprue. So again, this is going to be a trial piece. Not sure how it's going to all turn out, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to take the cotton and kind of wrap it around here just to see what I'm going to have to start with initially. I'll probably give it a good base piece and then add the other cotton pieces to it and make it billowy. So actually I'll shoot for something like that. Tie it down and give it a good base. So I'm going to use this clear Elmer's glue to adhere the cotton to the sprue piece. I'll just kind of run it along in here. And I'm going to be pretty generous with this. I don't want to be too stingy, but I don't want it running all over the place either, so just enough to tack it down. Put the sprue in here. Kind of wrap that cotton around it like so. Give it a good column. Make it a good foundation with which to build on top of. And this little billowy piece up here, kind of like that already. A little swirly piece. Make it look like a billowing cloud up at the top. Alright, so I can feel the glue coming through the cotton. I don't want to wet it down so much that it gets very firm or tacky on the cotton. You just want it to hold this in place. So I'm going to set that onto a pair of tweezers like that. That'll hold it in place, let that dry. And once it's dry, I'll come back and play with a little more, attach the billowing pieces. And so we'll be back in about, maybe give it an hour, maybe 2. Okay, it's been a couple hours and the glue has dried on this. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more cotton to this. So all I'm doing is really just fluffing it around, tacking it down onto the stem, the main base, trying to just get some random formations and swirls looking like it's swirling smoke. It's looking pretty interesting. Alright, we'll let that dry. Then I'll try and tack it down with the spray glue, and we'll see how that turns out in a little while. So here's the final product of the smoke. We've got the clear spruce stem down the middle, and you can see the different aspects of it. It's pretty billowy in areas and kind of curly and swirly and thinning out in other areas, just like smoke would be. I have sprayed this down with that scenic cement that I had shown earlier, and it worked out really well. It's kind of firm. It's not too firm where it looks stiff, but it still retains its look of being a billowy smoke. So if we push on it, it will retain its shape and won't change. So that worked out quite nicely. So now I'm going to get to spray painting it. I'm going to spray paint it some reds, yellows, and orange, gray, and black, just to try and simulate the look of smoke. And I'm going to be using, first coat I'm going to put on will be the Tamiya XF3 Flat Yellow. Typically when I'm using my Tamiya paints and I'm putting them in the airbrush, I seem to find my ratios that work out the best are about 2 parts paint to 1 part thinner. So I'm currently using about 6 drops of paint or so and three drops thinner. And then I'll mix that up inside the airbrush. Give it a little test. It's running fine. And we'll hit this with a little yellow paint here and there just to give it some color. I'm just going to layer this paint around throughout the smoke area to give it some color interest and look like the fire flames in one part, maybe some fire coming through the top, and then mostly gray throughout the middle. Okay, so I think that's pretty good on the yellow for now. I'm going to add some orange and some red into the highlights as well. Okay, the next color going in is going to be the Tamiya X6 orange. And again, I'm going to be using 6 drops of paint to 3 drops of thinner. And I'm just using very small amounts of paint because this is such a small little area I'm painting. I don't need very much. Just enough to spray a little bit of interest and detail in there. is flowing nice, so there's some of the orange. That's pretty good. Next color going in will be the X7 red. Do very little of the red. I think that's a pretty intense color. The orange and yellows look really well. So I'm just going to try and keep the red at a minimum. I think that looks pretty good for the color piece. The next thing I'll add in will be the gray. The gray that I'm going to choose to use is XF66 light gray. Some up at the top as well, blended in with the colors at the top, because there would be some dark, thick smoke at the top along with the flames. think that looks quite well. And then I will just touch in some highlights of black here and there. Again, careful not to oversaturate the black, because you don't want the overall color to be black, but there would be some black areas. So, all right. For the black, I'm going to be using XF1. And with this, I think I'm just going to try 4 drops of black, 2 drops of thinner, because I don't intend on using a whole lot of this black. It's just going to be very little highlights. So 4 drops paint, 2 drops of thinner. And I use Tamiya paints on all of my models. It seems to work the best. I think they have a very good coating. They're easy to work with. They're easy to blend. They come in a nice wide variety of colors. And they go on very nicely. Alright, so just a little bit of highlighting for the black. And I'm going to leave some white showing as well. I think that's going to complete the smoked area. We're going to let that dry, and then I'll come back and put the LEDs in the bottom of the stick of the sprue and see how it illuminates when it's with the lights illuminated and flashing. Okay, it's been about an hour. The paint has dried. I'm going to give it a test to see how it came out with the lights. Here's the fire kit lights, LEDs. Very small wires, very small LED. I'm going to attach them or just place them next to the sprue underneath. And you can see how that is illuminating the smoke and flames area. That really actually came out quite good. I'm very pleased with how that looks. Hopefully it doesn't go out of zoom so you can get the effect. It's illuminating all the way up through the top as I had hoped with that sprue going through. Here's the back side. I can just see if I can turn it around. Actually, I don't know which will be the front, which will be the back. It's going to determine, what will determine that is how best it looks once I put it into the model. You can see here, wow, that looks really, really well, really good as well. That smoke billowing and the flames coming up through the bottom here. Very happy with how that turned out. Excellent. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is just hit this with a splash of clear coat, clear varnish. I'm going to use the XF86 Tamiya Flat Clear. Just hit this real quick with some clear coat just to protect the paint. And that may actually give it a little more firmness and hold to it, in addition with that spray glue that was used. But this is really great with this little swirl coming out and little extra piece here. The effect is coming out really well. I'm happy with that. So this is a very easy project if you're looking to add some smoke or something to any of your projects. Give it a try. It's pretty easy, and it came out very well.